wanted the best? You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Wait, am I the host? Okay, it's Chris Voss here from the Chris Voss Show. Welcome to the show, friends and family. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in for an amazing, fun interview that we're going to take and have about an amazing hot novel that's just coming off the prints there. July 5th, 2022 just came off. In the meantime, as we talk to this brilliant author, go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, hit the bell notification button. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, see everything we're reading and reviewing over there. Go to all our groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Sign up for the links in the newsletter as well. Today, the amazing author we have on the show is Tessa Arlen. She is the author of the newest book, like I mentioned, just came out, A Dress of Violet Taffeta, a novel that she's just published. And we're going to be talking about her book, what's inside of it, and what she's got planned for the future. She is an amazing author, and I'm just looking for the bio here, which I can't find. She is the author of A Woman of World War II Mysteries and the novel In Royal Service to the Queen. Born in Singapore, a daughter of a British diplomat, she has lived in Egypt, Germany, and the Persian Gulf, China, and India. And she now lives with her husband in historic Santa Fe, where she gardens in summer and writes in winter. Welcome to the show, Tessa. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Good. And I'm hanging in here on a Friday afternoon, I guess. The brain's already left for the weekend. So congratulations on the new book. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
TessaArlen.com.
There you go.
That's
so how many books do you have under your belt there?
This is my 8th.
Nice. 8 books. Wow. That's just amazing. And so what motivated you want to write this book?
I was doing, I came across this protagonist about 8 years ago when I was researching for my Lady Montfort Edwardian Mystery Series. And she was sort of mentioned all over the place, and not with a lot of approval for the time she lived in, because she divorced her husband in 1893, which was an absolute no-no then. He ran off with a pantomime dancer and left her destitute with a 5-year-old child. And she was also considered to be a little bit ruthless and ambitious, which I think today would translate as merely struggling to survive. And the more I read about her, we sort of went on to do other things. And then I saw an exhibition of the clothes she designed at the Victoria and Albert in London. And it was, I get goosebumps just remembering it. It was incredibly beautiful. They were works of art. And so I thought I had found out more, and I wanted to write her story.
There you go. Now, is this a continuation of any of your other books, or is this a new setup?
No, not at all.
Okay.
She's just this Violet Taffeta is really a standalone historical fiction.
Okay.
And it takes place in London and New York and Paris in the years between 1893 to 1913.
Nice. And so give us some more insight to some of the stories in the book that stuck out for you.
Well, Lucy was very much an innovator. She was very courageous. Once she got her feet under the table, so to speak, in the world of fashion design, which was really very male dominated. I mean, it was all Paris and it was all men. But she was very single-minded. But in her memoir, she claimed to be a woman of firsts. She was the first woman to prize her clients out of their whalebone corsetry and put them into lingerie. She was the first woman to show her new season's models with a live mannequin parade fashion show.
Mm-hmm.
And she also survived. Well, she married up. She married a baronet. She was from that sort of upper middle classes, and she married up this sportsman and fencing. He was on the Olympic fencing team. She married this amazing man, and she was also a survivor of the Titanic when that went down in 1912. So her life was very full, and she was quite a grande dame. She was a real character.
Mm-hmm. So, wow, she survived the Titanic. That's pretty
Mhm.
amazing. That's an
Yeah.
amazing story.
That was
So
a
she,
fabulous. That was a fabulous couple of chapters to write, because she not only survived the Titanic, she and her husband survived the Board of Trade inquiry into the sinking of the Titanic, because he was accused of bribery.
oh, that'll
That'll do
that'll
it.
get you interesting. So it's based on based on the true story of LaBelle Epo. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce that last name correctly. LaBelle Epuque.
La Belle Epoque was the
LaBelle Epoque. There we
yes.
go. I'm learning
That
everything
was,
today. I learned.
an era of history,
Mhm.
period in history. Yeah.
Lady Lucille Duff Gordon,
Mm.
and who shattered the boundaries of fashion. Amazing. So, has the book got a lot of fashion empire stuff in it, and designing and dressmaking, things of that nature?
Yes, quite a bit. It's
Hmm.
um, I I do. I describe some of the clothes she made and who she made them for, because she was, at the top of her game. She was. Everybody came to her.
Hmm.
Rich Americans, European royalty,
Hmm.
and then all the fashionable sets in London. So yes, I did. But what I loved about Lucy was that she had quite a sense of humor and wit. So her clothes were kind of bohemian. They weren't the stiff, grand dresses of the time. And she named them. She gave her favorite ones names. She called them dresses of emotion.
Hmm.
And she gave them names like Passion Flower's First Kiss. And and they were all, that time was kind of naughty. So
Oh.
there was a lot of, she called them to her dresses, no, the raiment of allurement or something like that. But she was dressing women who would probably only wear that dress for one occasion.
Uh huh. That's what I do. I only wear one dress per occasion. That's my
Yeah,
rule.
me too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way to go. I mean,
Oh, yes.
it's,
And
it's
chuck them out when you're done with them.
yes. I sell them off to people or
On,
something. I don't
mhm.
know. So she lives this opulent lifestyle, pretty much, doesn't she? Or does she go through kind of curvature of her life when she's, uh, you know, uh, left penniless, I guess, and going through some different struggles?
Yeah, she really does struggle. She cuts out her first dress to sell on her dining room table.
Oh wow.
And people would come and sit in her tiny little drawing room and wait for their fittings. And her mother, who was very proper, was horrified. She didn't like this at all. I don't know what she thought Lucy should have done when she was made destitute, but she certainly shouldn't have gone into trade, and she
Mm-hmm.
certainly shouldn't have divorced her husband. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she went through some pretty rough times. But when she hit the big time, she really did. And she wasn't a particularly opulent woman. I mean, she liked a degree of comfort and luxury, but she didn't dress. She wore little black dresses. She was very close to her clients. She was a really good listener. So she liked to believe that she designed a dress for them, for their personality.
Mm.
And I think that was part and parcel of her success, was that she really was a woman's woman. She really did um, have great close friendships.
Mm-hmm. Do you think? Were you thinking of any movie stars or people who play this for TV or movie, or do you have any? Do you have any people in mind, maybe in your life, as you were designing the characters?
No, no, not at all. But I was asked that question, so I came up with one, and for the life of me, I can't remember who I thought of for the role of Lucy, but I did think of somebody good. She's an English actress.
Mm-hmm.
And her first name is God. I'm so sorry. Can you ask me something else?
Who do you think this is going to appeal to most? Who are your readers usually?
I don't know. I think pretty much everyone.
Hmm.
I mean, women certainly.
Yes.
Women who love history,
Mm-hmm.
who enjoy historical fiction, of which there are, luckily for us writers, thousands.
Yes.
And women who appreciate a strong protagonist, a rule breaker, a woman who forges her way. These are very popular topics for us girls these days.
Yes. I mean, it definitely appeals. I mean, women buy and read so many books. Uh, so let's see. We did the TV thing. Is there any stories or stuff that sticks out to you? Maybe you want to tease out in the book. Or is there any twists or anything like that?
Yes, there is, because everything was going really well for Lucy and her new husband, and she's just going from success to success. She opens a salon in New York. She's adored by Americans because they love the fact that their dresses are being designed by a baronet's wife, by Lady Lucy Duff Gordon. And everything is going fabulously well. And then she makes that fatal voyage on the Titanic.
Yeah.
She's sort of commuting between London and New York on the Mauritania, but her husband's really excited about the Titanic. So they go on that. And of course, it was hell. I mean, and also the aftermath pretty much wrecked Lucy and Cosmo. It certainly it was a huge issue for them to get over in their marriage and in her business.
So always challenges.
Yeah, that's that awful moment when everything's going well and then it crashes.
So, how long did it take you to write the book?
When I first, not after research, which took me a while, probably about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, it goes into production, in the publishing house, and that's ages.
Mm-hmm. What helped you discover her story, or how did you discover her story?
When I was researching for another book, you come across all these characters and you think, oh, I'm going to remember that one. I'm going to write about her.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And I did.
So, what sort of did it just flow out of you when you wrote it, or does usually when you're writing, does it exhaust you? Are you energized? Does it flow off the pen to the paper? How does it usually work for you when you write novels like this?
Well, I have an outline, so I have an idea where I'm going, but that sometimes changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes feel like it's not really me.
Do you kind of embody the character?
Not so much that, but I feel like a conduit. That after a while, I become so caught up in this woman and her story that it's like she's almost telling it. And I love it. It's the best part of it, the writing. The rest of it's hell. I mean,
The editing, I know, is.
The editing goes on and on and on. And then there's all the self-doubt that comes with the whole business of putting yourself out there.
I know, isn't it weird? Do you still get that after 8 books, though?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I'm a wreck. I hate it when my book comes out. I can't, there's a whole, I feel really sorry for my husband. I get all, kind of like a Labrador retriever and kind of like, and it comes out and I think, why did I get so overwrought about it?
Yeah. I like to
think I cover it. I do. I like to think that I can cover that over.
Yeah. It's funny. When I did my first book last year, and it's a business book, but I remember going through that process where your brain screws with you and goes, no one's going to read this damn thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to sell one copy.
Mhm.
Not even one per. Like you're just lying to people. Like they're gonna read it and go, "This guy's an idiot." I mean, I have 54 years of knowledge, but you're like, no one's gonna read this to care. They're just gonna be like, "What the hell is this?" So, but yeah, it's interesting to me that's still happening after 8 books because I was like, maybe after I write the first one and people buy it, then I'll be like, yeah, people read my stupid book, in my thing, my idiot writing, whatever. But yeah, it's interesting that still goes on. Maybe that's your brain trying to sabotage you when it does that, where it's
Oh,
like,
I think
let's
it's all sorts of things, and it certainly is your brain trying to sabotage you. You know, you can't really believe in yourself that much. Otherwise, you'd be pretty
bit of a
detestable.
narcissist.
Yes. So basically, you just go, this
I
is
just accept.
this is fail before it even starts.
I
And
just accepted that I was a narcissist.
uh,
I just
oh
said,
well,
said
I
fuck
don't
it.
know about you know something. I think I honestly think that basically it's almost bad manners to believe that you're going to be successful. So I don't. I practice stoicism.
I reached a point when I was writing my book where I was like, a lot of it was not only my business thoughts, but a lot of my stories. And so I've been carrying around these stories for 54 years, 35 years of business. And and to me, to finally get them on paper so I get them out of my head, because I was constantly telling the stories as a griot, as a verbal historian. And the reason I realized over the years that I was kept repeating the stories is because I was trying to remember them. And so once again on paper, and so finally I reached a point where I was like, you know what? I really like what I've written, and I've told my stories, and I put them on the paper, and they're cemented in time for all eternity or whatever. And I don't really care if anybody reads the book. And I just kind of came, for some reason, I came to this moment where I was just like, I don't give a shit if anybody reads this book. I got it written,
uh,
and I don't care, and fuck it. And I wrote that on like Facebook. I go, I don't give a shit if anybody buys this book. I'm happy. I got it in paper. So it's a journey sometimes being a writer. Does writing get easier for you over the years, or has it been just as difficult each and every time?
it's never difficult for me to write, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I lead quite a shut-in life. I'm not out there having I was quite happy never to go and work in an office or adhere to somebody's schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I love being a stay-at-home mom. And then, of course, that all ended up with, that excuse went away when my kids grew up. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I was left with this sort of, well, what do I do? And I certainly didn't want to go out and work,
Mm-hmm.
real work. So I just thought I'll have a bash at writing a story. So it's
Do you?
never the story part, the writing part is never a chore. It's, and wonderful thing is you can do it until you basically lose your marbles, and maybe even become a bestseller then
Yeah.
when you're
Some
writing.
people have lost their marbles and are great writers too. So
Yeah. So basically no, it's not a chore.
there you go. So how do you select some of the names of your characters? I mean, obviously this is some historical fiction, but some of the other ones you make around it, how do you choose your names?
Do you know, I love that part.
Mm.
My Woman of World War II mystery series, the protagonist's name was Poppy Redfern, which I don't know, that just popped in. And I had a wonderful time with my Edwardian series, choosing really snotty English upper crust names. One character was called Lucinda Lambert because the English loved those, double barrels. But I mean, I didn't really choose names for this book because she's real. Her name was Lucy Wallace, and she married a chap called Sir Cosmo Duff Gordon. Now, there's a name I could never in a million years have dreamt up, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very unique name when it comes
Yeah,
down to it.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm so factual. I could never have the imagination around a novel. I don't think. I don't know. It seems like you have to make everything. And I don't think I have that imagination. So I really am impressed when novelists can do this because they have to make up everything. They have to story and everything. I mean, I just have there's some stupid crap I did last week is what I read about.
But you know, there is a no, there is a definite trick to writing anecdotal remembering, and it's no good if it's just only interesting to you. So, you know, there has to be something that draws people in to read the things that you experience. So I don't know that it's any different. And I really believe that memory can be very selective at times.
Do you ever get writer's block?
If I do, I make lunch and have a glass of wine and take the dogs for a walk and say, that's it for today.
I used to write really good when I was imbibing in some of the booze. That's usually when I used to write really well. And then it got to the point where I couldn't do the booze anymore. So then I had to write sober. In fact, I wrote my book sober. That's really weird.
Do you know what Hemingway said? Ernest Hemingway. He said, write drunk, edit sober.
Edit sober. Yes. I used to do that a lot. I should have turned it into a book and I would just write little things. But yeah, I should have written more when I was drinking because it was so much easier to write. And I get, as a man, I'm really disconnected to my rational brain and my emotional brain. And so by getting drunk, I can connect to my emotional brain. I can play piano and guitar and do things. But when I'm sober, I was very left brain rational. And so I would write my best stuff. I thought when I was drunk, and it was so easy. It would just flow out of me because I was connected to that emotional.
Yeah.
Were there any hard scenes to write in the book for you?
I'm sorry?
Were there any hard scenes to write in the book? Any scenes that maybe you liked in the book?
Yeah, I've always written mystery because I think I'm really good at describing what motivates someone to kill someone else, and and I'm actually very private. So Lucy had this sort of disastrous first marriage, and then she fell in love with Cosmo, or he fell in love with her. And she had to discover her sensuality in the book. I mean, I had no idea what the real Lucy, how her love life went. But I had to have Lucy come out of this workaholic's life and recognize that, yes, she was in love with Cosmo and she was physically attracted to him. So that part, when they are together, when he comes to visit her in the south of France, that part I get really kind of, it just doesn't flow. I have to go away and say, look, come on, it's okay. You can like this. You know what you're doing. And so those romantic and sexually attractive parts, and there isn't graphic sex in my book, I get kind of self-conscious because I feel it's too revealing of who I am. And I know tons of writers who can just toss off these amazing paragraphs that leave everybody gasping. I don't think I'm that girl.
Well, I mean, you're doing quite well. I mean, you've written 8 books, and people seem to love them.
Well, good. Let's hope
they keep it up. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. Anything more you want to tease out of the book before we go?
No, I'm perfectly happy. I'm in the middle of writing my next one.
When does that come out?
I don't know yet because we're in the middle of that, publisher agent conversation that goes on.
There you go. Is it going to be a standalone or is it going to be in addition to this one?
It's going to be a standalone because I'm really into my historical fiction at the moment. And it is about a woman who, another real woman, an English woman who was a writer between the years of 1933 and 39, just before the Second World War. And it's set in England and Egypt. And
there you go.
She was interesting.
Well, there you go. That should make for an interesting book.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So give us your .coms where people can find you on the interwebs or learn more about you.
So I'm on Facebook, Tessa Arlen. I think it might be Tessa Arlen author. And I'm on Instagram, Tessa.Arlen. And I have a website, TessaArlen.com.
There you go. There you go.
Me.
And order of the book, guys, it just came out July 5th, 2022, Address of Violent Taffeta. Tessa, it's been wonderful to have you on the show and get to know you for a second. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It was fun.
There you go. And guys, order up the book. Also go to your YouTube, our goodreads.com/Chris Voss, and all of our groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys